What's going on? Ryan Troy back with another video for you today. Now, a couple months ago, I had a talk with Photography and Frames, and we spoke about how photographers are not on YouTube. Now, with my next guest, he is an exception to that talk. My next guest is Ike. How you doing, Ike?
Not bad at all. Just another day of working hard and then also being on YouTube.
That's right. So, what me and Ike are going to get into today is the things that full photographers or full time photographers don't tell you about. Now, Ike, what is your occupation?
Portrait and wedding photographer.
You do a lot of photography. I'm assuming this is your full time job, correct?
Yes.
How long have you
Go ahead.
How long have you been doing this for?
So we started photography. Like I started picking up the camera towards the end of 2009. We
Okay.
created a business. We had like a launch party, a business launch party in May of or March of 2010. And I was still working a full-time job and this was a side hustle. And
Okay.
then around May of 2012, I quit my full-time job and was just doing photography as the main source of income. So I've been doing just photography only since 2012 till today.
Okay. Now, when you first jumped into photography going full time, is it a few things that you learned on the way that you probably didn't know when you first jumped into it?
You work more.
You
You
work more?
know, yeah, I would say that like one thing I'll tell people who if you work a full-time job, like where's my cat? if you work a full if you work a full-time job and you want to do photography, establish your pricing in like what you want to do while you have the safety of a incoming check, because
Right.
it's hard to raise your prices and do all of that stuff and try to charge your worth when you depend on photography as your main source of income, because it can be real like nerve-wracking to try to raise your prices when you depend on photography. And so if there's one thing like I would have went back or we would, and part of it was that like we started so early in our career, so it was hard to say charge like a lot of money. So we was kind of in a catch for us. But I'd say if you're somebody who's doing photography now, get as good as get as good as you can as far as the art of photography. Like learn all you can, pay for courses, learn the skill, then get your business and stuff right. Get your prices down to where you want them, and then charge what you want to charge. And then once you start booking, then quit.
Now, I feel like it's a lot of people out there that feel like when they see somebody that's a full time photographer, they feel as if this full time photographer is rich or have a lot of money by doing what they do. Now, you may have a few photographers out there that may be real wealthy, but I
Some
think
of them
it's
are.
important, huh?
Some of them are.
Yeah, but I think it's important for people that are thinking about full time, being a full time photographer, for them to know that just because you're a full time photographer doesn't mean that you may be making more money than you're already making at your full time job. It's different levels to being full time. You can make anywhere from 40,000 a year to it goes on. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So a good friend of mine, Stan, who you always see with me, he works for Amazon Web Services. All right. So not to put Stan's business out there, but he would have to make a lot of money from photography for him to leave his full-time job at Amazon. The freedom that he gets, the amount of money that he's making at Amazon, he can just do this photography thing on the side and still work his job. But for him to go full-time in photography with the benefits and the money that he's making from that job, just knowing what I know from what he makes, like he had to bring in quite a bit of income for him to like just quit up and quit. And then you have some people who go full time, but their spouse or their partner works. See, one thing about me and my wife are full time. So like if I pan the camera on, that's her desk right behind me. So that's her spot where she works at, and then I work here. And so we both are full time. So there is no spouse who works a job and who's securing at least one paycheck. Both of the family income depends on us booking work. But like I know a friend of mine who, she's a female. Her husband worked. He was an engineer at Microsoft or something like that. So he secured a lot of funds where she was able to build the business, and now she has a very lucrative business. And I'm not sure. I haven't talked to her in a while, so I'm not sure if her husband even still works or if he does something else. But you have a lot of situations like that where one of the spouses are working a full-time job and they're able to build on the side. So
Right. So from that part, I want to jump into the editing part. You have a lot of photographers out there that they really go hard when it comes to editing. Now, you do a lot of weddings and things like that, right? A lot of events and stuff like that as well. I know you say you do portraits. Now, what do you feel, or what is your word of advice to people that want to get into photography full time but believe they need to spend about 2 hours on every photo that they edit? Do you think that's good for business, or do you think that's bad for business?
I think that depends on your business and how you want to run your business. Of course, time is money. And so if you feel like you want to spend 2 hours on every photo, if you're charging the amount of money and making the amount of money that it makes sense for you to spend 2 hours on every photo, fine. It doesn't make sense for me to do that. Like I'd be making, way less than minimum wage in South Carolina. Minimum wage here is $15.50 an hour, right? So
Right.
minimum wage in South is probably like 7, 8, but minimum I'd be making less than minimum wage in another state. So
Right.
it doesn't make sense for my business to spend 2 hours on every photo. But if you're somebody who's charging $10, $20, $30,000 for a wedding, maybe it's worth your time to spend them 2 hours on every photo.
Right.
Maybe you only shoot 100 pictures, at a wedding, and you're like, these are the 100 best pictures, and so it's all up to you. But I will say that, of course, time is money. And if you can figure out a way to be most efficient with your time, that's going to yield you the best results. That's going to give you the best efficiency in return on your investment, I guess, if the word's what I'm looking for.
Right. So Lightroom's edit for the win, right? Don't go into
Yeah.
Photoshop.
I don't know any wedding photographer who photoshops every single. I
thought you was gonna say something about Lightroom, but yeah.
No.
All right. So another thing that I see, people that want to go full time, that they do is they feel like when they go full time. Now, keep in mind, there are plenty of exceptions to the rules. There are plenty of people that may make a living off of shooting models. But it's a lot of people that just pick the camera up, they want to go full time, and they feel, okay, I'm going to shoot models. And when I shoot models, this is what's going to fund my life. Now, where would you say you make majority of your money? Is it from shooting models that want to be on magazine covers, or is it, from maybe family events, senior portraits, things like that have to do with that? Where would you say most of your money that you make come from?
Ours is currently, I'd say between weddings and high school senior photos, it honestly is broken up to certain parts. And I actually haven't done the math. I can't tell you 40% of our income is this, 30% is this, but I can say that probably at least 30 to 40% is weddings. Another 40 to 50% might be high school senior portraits, and then the rest is family photos, and then headshots and miscellaneous things so business.
But what about models? What percentage would that fall into? Because
models,
when everybody get a camera, they go on Instagram, they look for the Instagram models, they pack their whole Instagram with photos of models trying to get published in magazines. They don't put anything like weddings and stuff like that on there. I say, new starting out. People that's been in this, they know what to market and who to market to. But some people just put straight model work on there, which is fine if this isn't something you plan on doing full time and you just love the art. But if it's something you are looking at as a business, considering you said you probably don't even get your big percentages and coming from models. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think so. Our business is built around high school seniors, family portraits, and miscellaneous things like business events, headshots. So like when I say my business, there's Ike and Tosh. Now, if you're watching this and you say, "Oh, that's PhotoMeIke," and you know me from YouTube, then you know I just shoot models on YouTube most of the time, and I create content for lens reviews. And if you've been following me for a while, then you see I've shot weddings and stuff and vlogged those in the past. Models make up 0 point something percent of our business. It's mainly the weddings and high school seniors, but that's how we built it, of course. So, if you are somebody who does or is into fashion photography and wants to be a fashion photographer, and maybe you're doing like comp cards for models and things like that, and even then, I'm not even sure if models are going to make up. Like, I think getting like editorial corporate fashion work is going to be the thing, and then models are involved in that, but not necessarily just having a bunch of models book you, because like that's not feasible. And not to say that it can't be possible, because I know some photographers who do it, but I don't know how much money they make from it. I don't know like how successful that is and what they do in relation to other things, because again, if you follow me on Instagram and you follow me on YouTube, you would think all I do is shoot as models. But if you peel behind the layers, I have a whole business that I run that keeps me afloat. So
Right. And you post a lot of that stuff on your story, which is a good thing. I think if you guys out there, I mean, if you know who PhotoMeIke is, if you go to his Instagram, you'll see a whole different side of him. You'll see the business part. Now, you also have a different channel, a live channel where you go live. And even if you follow that channel, you'll see a lot of the business stuff too, like the senior photos. On the story, he posts a lot of, behind the scenes at weddings, whether he's, shooting with a new lens and just, letting you see those true Nikon colors. You know what I mean? Had to throw that in there. But yeah, so you'll see that part of it. Now, I don't want to let this video get too long. I just wanted to touch on things that full-time photographers may not tell people, not because they're hiding it, but just, it's a lot of new photographers that I feel need to hear certain things in order to know where they go.
I mean, I will say one thing's for sure. Even if you want to make a living doing models, like one, you got to charge a whole lot more, right? So you got to charge a good amount of money, because I think you and Anthony did a breakdown of like if you had $3,500 to start a business and business
Correct.
insurance and all that stuff, right? So you got to think you need $3,500 to start a business, and you had to borrow all this stuff. Well, then that's 1 month. Like, what are you gonna do next month? So you got to make $3,500 next month, and that's just to start a business. Y'all didn't put your bills in there. You didn't put the car, the gas, the food, the electricity, the utilities. So that's a whole nother $3,500 you got to make. So now you got to figure out how to make $7,000 a month, right? Because when you start like you said, when you guys talked about insurance, and you buy the insurance, you buy it, but that bill is gonna be next month, right? And then your lenses and stuff. If something breaks, you gotta be able to replace it. So you still you gotta make that amount of money again. So you gotta figure out how to make $7,000 a month. And let's say like six. You say you gotta make $6,000 a month, right? That's a lot of models. That's $1,000 per model. That's 6 models you gotta book every month. That's gotta come into your, and then you gotta pay taxes on that 6,000. Yeah, so it gets ugly. It gets ugly.
So this is I wanna shoot a few quick questions off, and then I'll let you just answer them real quick, and then we're gonna get out of here, guys. So how do you get most of your clients? What would you say? Would you say it is from advertising, marketing? Would you say it's from word of mouth?
A little bit of everything, right? So it's mainly word of mouth, and I'll try to keep this story short. So the way we started our business is, my wife is from here. I'm in Washington State. For those of you who don't know, I'm based out of Tacoma, Washington. Forgot to mention that part beginning, but based out of Tacoma, Washington. For those of you who don't know, Tacoma is about 30 minutes south of Seattle, part of the Puget Sound. So my wife is born and raised in Tacoma. I'm from Virginia. I moved out here. She was kind of popular, knew quite a bit of people because it's the city, and all of the high schools are close to each other. So she had known quite a few people in the neighborhood. So when we started our business, we started going to a church that was really big in the community, and so what we did is we started getting in touch with the higher ups in the church, and we started working our way around the church and shooting key people honestly for free for trade. It was like time for pics. Like, hey,
Right.
you have a beautiful family. Can we shoot your family? Because we're trying to learn. We're trying to get experience. We're trying to get exposure. So we're like, hey, can we do your pictures for free? If you like them, post them, tag us, that whole thing. So
Right.
it started there. It kind of grew from there in the church, as well as throughout the neighborhood, knowing people. And then as time went by, we started doing high school seniors, right? And so we started a senior model program. We call it the Ike Street Team. And so we had a street team senior model program, and we put a lot of time and energy into them. And they were our form of marketing. So how people might like pass out flyers or whatever, or business cards. I'm just like looking for a flyer. Like, let's say, hey, this is, I'm gonna put flyers on everybody's door. For us, we put money and we invested into these young girls, young women, to be our
Right.
marketing piece for the high schools, as well as we put time into doing shoots for free for people at our church to make them happy so that they would market and be a marketing piece and a word of mouth at the church and just around. And then over time, like it just kind of grew. You combine that with social media and passing out business cards, and then having a website that we used, and we tried to use what's the word? Not social media. Search engine optimization.
Yes.
Search
SEO.
engine SEO, using SEO on our website. So it's a combination of all three of those things that's got us here today. So
All right.
like I worked
And
at a job, so I would tell people at my job, hey, I'm doing photography. So a few people
right.
that I work with, I've done work for them, like family pictures for them. And just, like I said, it's 2010 we started it. So it's 2021 now. So over time, if you're consistent and you're good, people spread your name out, so.
Now, I'm gonna touch on this one last thing because I had a video that got a lot of mixed reviews on it, and it's something that you just touched on that I feel is important because I was saying in that video that when I first started, I used to do events for $100. I didn't have knowledge and enough knowledge at that point, and I was just happy to be making any type of money from this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Picking it up, it was like a passion. But you said that at the church, you would offer to do things for free, and that got your name out, which in turn brought business to you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
it was. Go ahead.
Well, so when they talk about businesses, like when you're starting to know your client, right? So we wasn't just offering free sessions to anybody. It was like, oh,
Right.
those people have a beautiful family and they're well known, they're well respected. If we just offer them a family shoot for free, because even with people like who are well to do or whatever, how often do they get their pictures taken? It's often they just don't think about it, unless you're like one of those freak families that get pictures done every year sometimes, or maybe you want to try something new. So there was a method to the madness. It wasn't just like, oh, we just out here willy-nilly slinging camera, slinging pictures for the low. It was like,
Right.
oh, let's work with them. Oh,
It was a
let's offer them.
strategic
Yeah.
way that you did it.
And again, you got to be good, right?
Right.
We were good. So the fact that we were good made our risk or whatever paid off. Like us doing a family shoot for this family and us doing a really good job, they had no choice but to put them up because they're like, oh, look, you guys did great. They post those pictures. Oh, who did your photos? Oh, Ike and Tosh at the church. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I checked them out. Hey, I heard you did a great job. How much do you charge for it? And it goes from there. So, I mean, I can't speak on you being at these clubs for $2 in a bottle of drinks,
Right.
$2 for a Jack and Coke.
Right.
$100
And
a day.
another thing, like what you said, right? because I like how you said that. You said how it was strategic,
Hmm.
how you did it, right? And a lot of photographers, we do that as well. As far as like that likes to shoot models and stuff, you may see somebody on Instagram that has a big following, and you shoot them for free. But as we said earlier, when you break down, our main clients on where we get most of our money from, it's not going to be from the models. But so I'm not going to say don't shoot the people with the clout on Instagram, because you never know who follow them. You never know if a person that may need a wedding or need family portraits follow them. So if they see that, they still could reach out to you, but just keep that in mind. What were you about to say? It looked like you wanted to say something.
I would say that you can't, because it worked out for us in the trip, but
Mm-hmm.
not. It's hard to quantify how many shoots we did equal to this much money we make, right? We just kind of did
Right.
it just to do it. Like, so let's say you might do a shoot with X amount, X, this, that, and the third, or let's say you might do a shoot with so and so, right? And so got 130,000 followers, right? You think, oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna do a shoot with so and so. They're gonna post me, and then I'm in the phone's gonna start ringing. You might do the post and so. They might put a filter over your image. All of a sudden, you don't
Right.
want nothing to do with the picture now. Or you to put a filter on it. Don't tag me. Take my photo down. Now you like, I didn't did all this time and intention into this person. They might not post the picture. They might not like the picture. Oh, I ain't really like the session, or they might post and they might tag you, but they followers is a bunch of, young teenagers or like old dudes who don't care to get their picture. You never know who they, because a lot of these models, they got 100 and 30, 40,000, but they're a bunch of guys. And the guys is not gonna
Right.
come, they're not gonna come book you, right? So you gotta understand that if you're gonna do kind of stuff, like who their audience is, and who are they gonna refer you, and what are you gonna get from them? So
So those are things to make sure that you keep in mind when you are looking for somebody um, to do that. And a lot of the times, like he said, that's how he started out. That's how he built the name for people to know who he was, and that is a big thing when it comes to doing photography, whether it's full time or just to make a side. Even if it's a side hustle, it doesn't have to be full time for you to take that advice right there. It could be. Go ahead.
hold up a second. Hello?
Oh,
What'd you say?
1 second.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me finish this talk. All right. My bad. Wife called me. So I was trying to
It's all.
pause you at a spot where you could like click, like where you can be like,
Don't worry, we're gonna
yeah,
keep
yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah.
this in,
Okay,
guys.
all
Unfiltered,
right.
raw, and that's about it. I mean, I think we touched on a lot of good topics. So,
I want to say this before we go. I want to say this before
go
we go,
ahead.
and this might be something that you can bring to for the next person, and I'll leave my thoughts, and then maybe you can like, because I want to say that, like, if you want to go full time, or you feel like as don't feel like you have to go full time. If you are okay with, if you love your job, right, and you like doing photography, keep your job and do photography. Keep photography fun. If photography is something that inspires you, that makes you happy, if you want to do a bunch of models and shoot them for free, shoot the models for free. Enjoy your life, right? Because at the end of the day, doing what makes you happy is what's most important, right? And so don't feel like, oh, I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. I only made $20 from it. How much fun have you had in them 10, 15 years? Has doing photography kept you from going down the wrong path or going into depression, whatever the case? Because the reason we started our business is because my wife um, got surgery done, and then she kind of got depressed. So she picked up the camera, and because she had always had a love for photography, so she picked up the camera, decided she wanted to get into to photography. She started getting good at it. So then she was like, oh, maybe I can make some money from this from the side. Hustler's gonna hustle, right? So she decided she wanted to make some money from it. I saw it. I was like, oh, she's pretty good. Let me come out with her because I want to, have fun too. And I've always like thought photography is cool, but never thought it could be a job. So I would go out with my wife and we would go out and shoot on the weekends and go to work. And granted, we were hustling, but I think we quickly realized, yo, we want to like be our own bosses and make this a thing. Um, and I enjoyed it as well, but I mean, I think for me, I probably always would have made it to where like it could be a business because my job wasn't a job that I was passionate about. Like if I was some kind of engineer that like could work on my own time and like code and make six figures a year and be able to buy whatever camera I want and go shoot, in exotic locations on the weekend, don't talk to me about making no money because I'm making no money in my job. I just want to make photography fun. So all that to say, depending on what your goals are, I think you should have a plan and figure out like, where do you want to be at, where you want to take things. If being a full-time photographer or if making this a business is what you want to do, then of course you have to like start setting things in motion in that path. Like, all right, let me learn business. Let me learn to take some courses to be a better photographer. Or if I feel like you're good enough, how do you make money? Because knowing business and know how to make money is way more important than how good a photographer you are. Trust me. I know a lot of photographers who are half as good as me who make twice as much as me. Okay. So let's get that out the way. So you don't have to be the
Yes.
best photographer to make the most money. Okay. So keep that in mind. And then also, if you just, like having fun, keep having fun. Like this, when they say, oh, find something that you love and you'll never work again, that's a lie. Okay. They lied. Okay. Because I love this, but this is work. Okay. I'll be tired. I don't feel like getting out. And granted, it could be worse. I could be out there, pouring concrete in the rain, in the cold. I could be digging ditches. I could be somewhere answering phones like I used to, saying, thank you for choosing Comcast. This is Isaiah speaking. Comment. All of that. I could be doing that, but I'm here doing this. So I'm grateful. But don't act, it's not like, oh, you get to just have fun and take it. No, there is work involved in this as well. And you work twice as much. Like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I got to go help put my daughter down, and then I got to stay up late and edit. Like, if you work a regular job, you can go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and go to work. Like, I'm up. So it is what it is.
Yep. All right, I think that is a good place to end it. Listen, guys, before I say my piece, I just want you to know, as we already touched, you know that Ike's a portrait photographer. You see him on YouTube, but him and his wife have their own photography business. If it's anybody that you should learn from, it's definitely going to be him, because me and him, I think we've been doing photography for about the same amount of time, but he has been a full-time photographer, a business owner, way longer than I have. And, he has a good... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nah,
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'll let that. I'll
Yeah,
save that for
yes.
somebody. I just want to give my wife her respect because she is the one that keeps the reels running. Of course, I do the work, but like without her, it'd be tough. So I
Right.
always want to caveat that with that. Like, I'm not doing it by myself. I have help.
Right. Right.
Right. So
Right. Hey, and we could get into that on another day as well, man. That good, business couple relationship. But until next time, guys, we will see you later. Peace.